Back with another live stream. Thank you guys all for being here. Appreciate all the support. And we're going to talk today that, or we're going to talk today that, we're going to talk today about Nancy Pelosi. We're going to talk about this new proposal that's out there. And we're going to try to figure out what this strategy is, because we saw the proposal come out from the problem. Wow, I cannot talk today. You know, it's Tuesday. It's not a normal live stream day. But anyway, we haven't officially started yet, so it doesn't matter. I'm still getting warmed up. So we'll be starting in about 4 minutes. But the Problem Solvers Caucus, they presented a proposal today, and we're going to talk a little bit about, not about it. If you want to know more about it, just check out, I'll post a link up here. Just check my last video. My last video talks about it. And so it looks like a pretty good proposal. Now, we've already gotten some pushback from the Democratic leadership when it comes to this proposal. And so we'll talk a little bit about what that might mean, and then we'll open it up for Q&A after that. So this is going to be more of a Q&A thing anyway, but I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about where the House is right now when it comes down to it, and maybe some possible reasons why they're opposed to this current proposal. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So first thing we're going to do is give some shout outs, and then we'll officially get started, and then we'll start talking about some different things. Let me know, guys, if everything is looking okay, if you can hear me and you can see me and all that good stuff. And Miss Happy Apple, thank you for being here. Really appreciate all your help when it comes to moderating the group, as well as Sherry. Thank you for being here and helping out. I appreciate both of you guys. Okay, so let me move back up to the top here, give some shout outs real quick. Now, Dalai Lamas, what's going on? Thank you for being here as well. We have another moderator here. Great. If you guys can do me a favor, hit the like button. We can bring some more people in by doing that. If you hit the like button, YouTube likes that, and the algorithm will start promoting this out to more people, as well as notifying the people who are subscribed to my channel, because for whatever reason, YouTube doesn't like to promote and notify all my subscribers when I go live. I don't know why that's happening. I've talked to them about that, but it continues to be a problem. So it looks like I'm gonna have to talk to them again about it. But yeah, so if you hit the like button, it does help. YouTube will start pushing it out to more people, and we can get more people in the room. So I'd really appreciate that. And like I said, we'll do some quick shout outs. Let me say one thing, actually, before we officially get started. When it comes to answering questions, you guys have to understand, I usually allow about 10 to 15 minutes to answer questions at the end of every live stream. Okay, I cannot answer everyone's question. And so if you ask me a question and I do not answer it, I'm not purposely just skipping the question. I'm skimming through questions. If you put at TEC, usually my eye catches that, and it makes it a little bit easier for me to see it. So I some of those questions I'll read. If you are making a statement, I don't always read your statement. Okay. So, and when I say statement, like if you're just saying something, Trump 2020 or whatever you're saying, Biden 2020, or you're just making some other statement, a lot of times I won't read those. Okay, because you're just making a statement. You're not asking me a question. But if you ask me a question, then I try to answer those. Okay, if I do not get to you, you can always join our Discord if you're not already a member of our Discord. If it's a question that you really want to get answered, just ask me in the Discord. Okay, I also have an email. So if you check my description of my YouTube channel, there's an email. You can send me an email if you want to do that. Some people do send out emails. So there are ways to ask me a question, but I've had a few people get upset because I didn't answer their question during a live chat. But just understand, we have a lot of stuff going on, and I'm only giving 10 to 15 minutes to answer those questions. And so, yes, I will skip some questions. That's the only thing that I can do at this point. There's way too much stuff going on for me to be able to answer every question. We would have 2 to 3 hour live streams. I like to keep the live stream around an hour. Because YouTube likes it, and people like watching something less than an hour. They don't like watching a live stream that's 2 hours long or 3 hours long. And believe me, in the past, I've done not the recent past, but last year I was doing 3 hour live streams. And so I try my best to answer these questions, but you have other ways to get in touch with me and ask me a question if you really have a question that needs to be answered. Okay, but just understand the difference. If you ask me a question, I'm probably going to address that. If you're just making a statement, sometimes I'll say what the statement is, but a lot of times I just won't even address the statements. Okay. And that's only because what am I going to say? Like all I'm going to say is whatever your statement was, but it's not a question or anything. It's not anything for me to go off. So it's just going to be like, I'm reading your statement, which everybody else can read your statement in the chat. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Because I did have a few people that were upset. You didn't answer my question. Or even in the chat, they'll say that you didn't answer my question. And that does me no good as well. So if you do have a question that I didn't answer and I'm still looking at questions, then just ask me the question again. Don't say you didn't answer my question, because then I can't go back and try to find that question while we're doing the live stream, because that would take too much time. Okay, so if you do have another question, or if you have a question and I didn't answer it and I'm still looking at questions in the live chat, just ask it again. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and get started. What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another live stream. Thank you guys all for being here. So today we're going to talk about what's next. Does Nancy Pelosi really want to make a deal? That's what we're going to talk about today. And it's pretty interesting because of this Problem Solvers Caucus, their proposal that they put out today, which I think is a really good proposal. I think it has a lot of the things that people were interested in, right? Stimulus checks, possibly another stimulus check. So one now and then possibly another one in January if the pandemic is still here and we haven't gotten past this at that point, then we could be looking at another stimulus check. So not just one more, but another one after that is what I'm saying. So it looks good. It does. It has a lot of the things. It checks off a lot of those boxes. However, Nancy Pelosi didn't really address this, and I'll show you a couple of clips. She's talking about the skinny bill in these clips, but she didn't really address the new proposal, but the Democratic leadership in the House did. Okay, so you have, I think it was 8 chair people in the House committees. They pretty much said this is not enough. Okay, it doesn't go far enough. Now, the way that I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to put on the best light possible. Okay, I don't want you to get your hopes up or anything like that, but I'm also looking at this from the things that Nancy Pelosi said today. And she did say that they're not going on recess. So their recess is October 2nd. They're not going on recess until they address this issue, until they address the stimulus package. So that means to me that something needs to be done, right? They're not going to leave until something gets done. So they're not going, and a lot of them, they have campaign obligations, right? In the House, I should say a lot of them, all of them, all of them have campaign obligations. And so they're going to be eager to get home and start their campaigning. Some more than others, just depending on how tight your race is. You might have some people in races that aren't tight, and then you have some other people who are in some pretty tight races that need to get home and need to get out. And then they also need to get to bring, at least let their constituents know, hey, we have something coming for you guys. So just looking at this and looking at the fact that she's saying, look, something will need to get done before we go on recess, leads me to believe that she is still focused on some type of a stimulus package going through. Now, is the Problem Solvers proposal, is that going to be the next stimulus package? We don't know that yet. Okay, now at this point, you have Democratic leadership saying it's not enough. Okay, so they're not. Nothing has been voted on. Nothing has been brought to the floor. Anything like that. All this stuff can change, but right now they're saying it's not enough. And I learned a long time ago in my job, and I was told this in my job by when I was in training, long time ago. It's like it's always easier to say no and then come back with a yes than to say yes and then have to say no later down the road. So this could be just an automatic reaction. Automatic reaction, it doesn't go far enough, right? And then that gives you some room to negotiate within the House. So they can say, oh, if you say it doesn't go far enough, then guess what? Problem Solvers Caucus, they're gonna, some of the House members are gonna come to those people, come to the leadership and say, hey, look, it doesn't go far enough. What else do you want? And that will open up a dialogue. And then maybe they'll still go with the same proposal, or maybe they'll add some different things to the proposal, and then we can move forward. But this could be one of those strategies where you're going to say no right away. You're going to say it doesn't go far enough, right? And then you're going to try to work out some of the different things that you might really want in this proposal. So we'll have to see where it goes. But like I said, just looking at all the proposals that have come out, with the exception of the HEROES Act, I still think the HEROES Act had more in it, and it had some things in there that people weren't really that it had more pork in it. Let's just put it that way. But it did have some of the same stuff, but it had hazard pay, and it had some other things that were in there that I think were good. So when it comes to this proposal, when you're comparing it to the HEALS Act, when you're comparing it to the skinny bill, this is the best thing that's currently out there, right? Now, another thing that I was thinking about, what if Nancy Pelosi, Mark Meadows, and Stephen Mnuchin agreed already, what if Stephen Mnuchin and Mark Meadows put something on the table similar to this, but better, and we just don't know it, right? They could have put something out there already that's similar to this. And so there could be a situation where Nancy Pelosi knows this, Democratic leadership knows this, but we don't know, right? So we're looking at this saying, oh, this is a great deal. It's kind of like if you're going to buy a car and you're with a friend and you've already worked out a deal with one person and they brought the number down to 20,000 and the car is listed at 30,000, and then someone else comes in to try to sell. I mean, you have like two different people trying to sell you the car for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe the manager comes in and says, and the manager doesn't know that you made this deal already, but he comes in and he says, oh, yeah, you know what? 21,000. And you're with your friend, and your friend looks at you like, wow, 21,000, you're not going to take that? But you already had a better deal. You already had 20,000 that you had worked out with someone else. And so you turn it down, and your friend looks at you like, are you crazy? So it could be a situation like that as well. So we'll have to see where it goes. It's actually, I'm glad that the Problem Solvers Caucus put this out there, because this gives you a really good starting point. I mean, a really good starting point. It's like everything is there already except for hazard pay. Hazard pay is the only thing that's not that. Well, I won't say it's the only thing that's not in there, but it's one of the things that I think should be in there. Essential worker pay. I think it should be a part of our next package. So maybe that's something that they're saying it doesn't go far enough. Maybe they want to add something like that. That's possible. But I think the enhanced unemployment at $450 for that 8 weeks is good. And then that additional low wage, lost wage. God, I can't even think of the word. I'm lost. I have it in my notes somewhere. But basically the $600 or less. So they're going to look at your lost wages, and then they'll determine, okay, you're going to get, so you're not making more than you make at your job, but they will compliment you. So they'll give you whatever you need to keep you at I think it's going to be at 100%. I don't know if it's 100% or 80%. I'm not sure. But anyway, the way it's looking right now, I think that's the strategy. Say no first, and then you can always come back with a yes. and you guys can work out some of the details. There might be something in there that's glaring that they don't want, or I'm sorry, there might be something in there that's glaring that they want, and so they're going to play a little bit of hardball and then come up with something. But the fact that Nancy Pelosi is foregoing recess, that is something. Okay, we saw her say this before in August, and we didn't get anything. But this is kind of the last ditch effort, and so I think something will happen. Let me I want to pull up this clip real quick. So this is Nancy Pelosi. She was on CNBC. There's two clips that I want to show you guys, and then actually there's three clips. The last one's pretty funny, but let's go ahead and play the clip.
I think that all of America would agree that we don't want anyone to be hungry, let alone 14 million children. But
well, apparently they do. They don't have any money for it in their bill.
Well, okay, but at the same time, what is your bottom line minimum demand in a skinny package, just so we can get something done now and then maybe deal with some other issues later?
There is no later with this administration. This is the opportunity. And a skinny deal is a Republican bill. That's not a deal at all. They're making a skinny, in fact, Chuck Schumer and I call it emaciated proposal for a massive problem. We have to face that reality. As you know better than I, the Fed is spending trillions of dollars shoring up our economy in other ways with monetary policy. We can fiscally spend the appropriate amount of money to meet the needs of the American people. And by the way, it's stimulus. You know better than I that we are a consumer economy, and the more we have, whether it's food stamps or unemployment insurance and the rest of that, that is rental checks, that is stimulus to the economy while it helps people maintain their dignity.
Well, Madam Speaker, a lot of those people and the breadwinners in the family have been hurt specifically by the government, meaning local governments doing the right thing, frankly, in closing down businesses, business interruption. Yeah. Why not try to at least target, say, hospitality, restaurants, the industries that you know are bleeding nationwide, to get that done and then think bigger? I know you said that nothing can be accomplished, but we need to put some money in these people's pockets now.
What do we do? We have the Restaurant Act. Mr. Blumenauer of Oregon has that legislation. It's expensive. It's $125 billion. We would welcome some of that into our bill, which means, though, we have to cut further into the original $3.4 trillion. But it's, I think, very important to do. I come from San Francisco. Restaurants are our community life. You're in the New York area. You know what that means. But it means that all over the country. And so, yeah, we want to be sure, though, that as we do the small business initiatives, it's not like you have a second dip. You have a second dip without having the oversight or without having the proper opportunities for women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, rural-owned businesses to be able to participate in a strong way. So we're not in disagreement on this. It's just that it all takes money that the Republicans were willing to spend on giving tax breaks to the top 1%, 83% of the benefits to the top of their tax bill going to the top 1%. And that money that I think is appropriate to be used by the Fed to shore up the markets. You see the stock market is doing well. That's a good thing. But let's shore up the middle class in our country as well, and do so based on science to get rid of the virus. And then we can open up and take our economy into the future in a way that it lifts up everyone.
All righty. So you saw there, skinny deal is not a deal. Is basically what she's saying, or skinny bill is not a deal. So she's referring to the skinny bill that failed in the Senate. So she's still talking about that. And so, like I said, we'll see where the new proposal goes. We'll see if it does anything. But at this point, it's a no, but that can always change. Like I said, initially say no, and then you can always negotiate some different things in there, and you might even like it. I mean, it's almost, and I'm gonna go back to the whole car analogy, But let's say you go in to buy a car and you have 20,000 in your pocket, you're ready to buy for 20,000, and they come at you with 20,000. Do you say yes? I wouldn't. I like to haggle. So if you come out with 20,000, I'm going to be like, no, that's too much. Even though I had that in my pocket. I do this all the time when I travel, and a lot of places. I travel to Colombia a lot, and everything's negotiable in Colombia. So if taxi rides, a lot of taxis don't have the meter. They just tell you a price. You tell them where you need to go, they tell you a price. And every time I have the same routine. You know, I know a little Spanish and I have this down, but every time I ask them how much, you know, cuánto cuesta, and then they tell me, how much. Oh, muy caro, and I just start going into my Spanish, telling them it's too much, and so I try to haggle with them. It doesn't matter what they're saying. It could be, and a lot of times I'll know because I've already been to that place. Like when I was going to Carnival, every morning for those 4 days, I was going to the same spot, and so the taxi drivers would tell me different prices, and some of them would be lower. Some of them would say 10,000, and some of them would say 8,000. So it would be like 10,000 or 8,000. The other one would say 8,000. And it didn't matter how much they were saying. I would always say the same thing. Muy caro. and then I would negotiate. So it's the same situation. Someone comes to you, and it might be the price that you're willing to pay, but initially you say, no, that's too much. And then you work out a deal from there. And then you know what, I can always go back up to that 10,000. I was already comfortable paying the 10,000. So this could be what's happening. We're going to have to see. I'm sure Nancy Pelosi is going to start getting more pressure from the moderate Democrats in the House because some of them are in tight races right now. So they need to do something. They need to show for something. And so they're going to be looking to Nancy Pelosi and saying, hey, we need this bad. And she's had their ear before, the moderates. And so hopefully she does have a stake in this whole situation, because if they don't get reelected, these House members, these Democrats, if they don't get reelected, then she's no longer the speaker. So if they can, if they cannot hold the Senate hold the House as a majority, then she's not going to be the speaker anymore. So she does have some skin in the game. So we'll have to see what she does with that. All right, I want to move forward to the next clip here, and then we'll go to the last clip right after that.
Nancy Pelosi believes that if she makes it tougher, it's harder for President Trump to get reelected. Her own members are upset because they are going to get sacrificed in this election. They are getting beat up back home. That's why they're willing to offer their own bill. And Nancy Pelosi is saying, it's okay if you lose as long as we're able to defeat the president. That is all wrong.
Wow. All right, that was House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy earlier on the Squawk Box. I want to bring in our next guest, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, to react to that, because it's a pretty serious charge to say that her own members are upset because they think they're being sacrificed. Madam Speaker, welcome to the show. Maybe we can get right to the bottom of this. What's really going on here?
Well, you know I wouldn't stoop to the level of responding to silliness. It has no idea. I just got off a call with my colleagues. We are committed to staying here until we have an agreement that meets the needs of the American people. We're optimistic that the White House, at least, will understand that we have to do some things. We have had a disagreement on crushing the virus, and that's a very important part of the HEROES Act: testing, tracing, treatment, mask wearing, ventilation, distancing, and the rest. That's really so. Every time I come on the show, I tell you, this is it. You want to open government, you open economy, you want to open schools, crush the virus. We also want to help state and local government, which they are accusing of all kinds of things because they don't want to help them. But we have to, because it's about jobs, and the fiscal soundness of state and local government is very important to the fiscal soundness of our country. And it's about meeting the needs of people, our heroes, hence the name. Healthcare workers, police, fire, transportation, sanitation, food workers, teachers to teach our children, and to Speaking of teaching our children, you know that over 90% of the funding for education, public education in our country, comes from state and local government. So we feel very proud of the work that we have done. It is scientifically, academically, institutionally documented to be what really meets the needs of people who are hungry in our country. Maybe 14 million children are food insecure. Many millions of their families are on the verge of eviction. We have that in our legislation. They do not. So this isn't about the president. It's about meeting the needs of the American people. And I'm very proud of the work that my caucus has done in promoting this and addressing the disparities and how, if you're African American, you're many more times likely to go to the hospital with this. Hispanic, maybe nearly 5 times more likely to go to the hospital for the coronavirus. We have a big challenge, and if we could just look to science and fairness, we can get the job done working together.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to play this last little clip. I'm not even going to talk about it. I kind of have been talking about the same thing. So let's go to the last clip here. I thought this was just funny. Now, this is really quick, and some of you guys have already talked about it in the chat. So let's go ahead and play it.
Between you and I think Secretary Mnuchin, I mean, what deal can we have at Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president. I have such reverence for the office. I would never use that term, but it is
but
hard,
you just did.
isn't it? Oh, come on.
But you just did.
You know what I mean.
Wow. How awkward was that? Oh, man, that was funny. To me, it looked like he did it on purpose, but I don't know. I don't watch Jim Cramer that much, so I don't know kind of his delivery. But it looked like to me it was like he did it on purpose and then tried to say, "Oh, I'm sorry," tried to make it like that. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. So this is where we are right now. I mean, when it comes down to it, I still have faith that this is just one of those deals. Say no first, and then work from there and try to see if this proposal has any teeth to it, which I think it does. Like I said, I think it's definitely the best thing that we've seen so far, and I think most people are not going to argue about potentially getting getting a stimulus check now and then potentially getting another one in January. I think most people would be on board for that, and so. What are some other things that could happen? And this is the tough part, because the House is pretty much where things need to get done, because we know the Senate, we know what they're talking about. They're talking about a $300 billion skinny bill and no stimulus checks and not much else. PPP money, but that's the most of it. And so we know what the Senate's talking about already. So whatever happens is going to happen in the House, and then it's going to have to be sent over to the Senate in the hopes that you can get Democrats to support it and push it through, because the Republicans are just not going to do it. They're not going to vote on any, like this new proposal that we're seeing. This is not going to get you're going to have a lot of Republican senators that are not going to vote for this. And that's just, I mean, that 15 to 20 that they've been talking about that are not voting for, that don't want another stimulus package, but came on board for a $300 billion skinny bill, they're not going to be on board for this. And this is already known. So you're going to need a lot of Democrats to support this. And so we're looking at a situation where if the House can get something done over to the Senate, and something that has Democrats supporting it, then it's something that can go through. But you did see Kevin McCarthy at the very beginning of that, not this last clip, but the clip right before that. Now, Kevin McCarthy, if you guys don't know, he is the minority leader of the House. Okay, so he's another person that could be in the room negotiating, but is not. So anyway. You heard him talking about he thinks that Nancy Pelosi just doesn't want to do anything because it will help the president get reelected. I would believe that only if she didn't say, hey, we're going to forego recess. And by her saying that we're going to forego recess to get something done, she's kind of put herself out there with, hey, something is going to at least get voted on. She's putting that out there, right? So it's still going to be a matter of the Senate. It's still going to have to, because if Nancy Pelosi wants something to get through the House, she can get it through the House. She's already proven that twice in the last couple of months, right? She got the HEROES Act through, and the HEROES Act was not very popular among Republicans, but she had enough support with the Democrats in order to get that passed. And then she got this postal bill approved. So she can get things done, but it's going to be the matter of, can the Senate find it in themselves to approve something, because they have not done that thus far. So that's what we're going to have to look at. And so I'm hoping that this is one of those situations where it's kind of like my strategy. When someone asks me something, I automatically say no, or I say too much, muy caro, no. And then I try to work them down or get more, right? So I'm hoping that is the strategy right now. They're just asking for more. They're not completely saying no. They're just saying, hey, look, this is a good starting point, but we need more. And so in the coming days, we'll know, right? Because in the coming days, we're going to see what they do with this. Now, from this point, if they do get what they want, if they get that more that they're asking for, then Nancy Pelosi can call it to the floor, and that's what would have to happen. So we'll see where it goes. But anyway, we're going to go to the chat. So go ahead and start posting questions now if you have questions, and we'll start answering some of those questions right now. So go ahead and go to the chat. And like I said, this was an impromptu kind of I just wanted to come on and just talk a little bit about this because I was watching it earlier. I put out a video earlier. If you guys want to know a little more detail, and I actually need to put out another video because the initial video that I put out, they didn't have the language yet. It was just, these are the things that are said to be in this next proposal. But now, right after I put my video out, they put out the actual language. So I wanted to go through that, and then I can give you guys a lot more information when it comes to some of the things. And I know a few people did have some questions about some of this stuff, and I have not looked at the language yet. So I didn't have time because I was like, oh, you know what? I want to go ahead and get this going, get a live stream going. And so I was just researching just about Nancy Pelosi and some of the stuff that was said and trying to find the clips and everything. So I haven't had a chance to read the whole proposal yet. And I think it's only like 4 pages. All right. Oh, my throat is is dry. All right, let's go ahead and go through and see what questions you guys have. So if you have a question, just put at TEC or put at the. I'm still not used to saying this, at the TEC show. I'm used to just saying at Travel Explore Click. Okay. All right. So if I do miss your question, ask me again at the just go ahead and ask me if I miss it, and you could see where you put your question. If you see that, oh, he's gone past my question already, then just ask me again. And Richard's saying shame on her. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay. See, and a lot of these things, like I said, if you guys aren't asking questions, I'm going to skip it. It's just, you guys are just making statements, and I get it, but it's not, I want to make sure if you have a question, I'm addressing those, okay? Okay, so, wow, it skipped me all the way to the bottom here. I'll go back up, but I do see a question here. How soon would we see this passed? So it depends. It depends on when they would. I mean, we're looking at a situation where we do have a recess coming, and so actually we have the end of the year, like the end of the fiscal year. So that's the first thing. So they're going to be focusing on the budget as well. So they need to get this continued resolution going, and so they'll be focusing on that. and then they also need to talk about this next stimulus package. And so, this is one of those things where I stopped putting timelines out there, okay? Because this has been very, very unpredictable. And so we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen. We just know, and I think most people understand, hey, it needs to happen sooner than later. But as far as timetables, I had to pull away from that because I was starting to do timetables back in June, late June and July, and it's like things are just so crazy and so unpredictable. They're not going anywhere with stuff. And you think, oh, okay, well, this sounds logical that they would get this done before they go on their August recess. But guess what? They don't get it done. They go on their August recess anyway. So just like now, Nancy Pelosi is saying, oh, we're not going to go on recess. She said that back in August as well. Is this going to be another situation like that? This is the last hope. This is the last hope because I've said this before. After the election, everything shuts down. We're not going to see anything. And so this is the fourth quarter, 2 minutes left in the game. This has to get done now if it's going to get done. So Andrew's saying that do you think they'll do the vacation recess? Come on now, not vacation. I get it. People want to say vacation, but I mean, technically it is a recess. They're going back home to their districts. That's the whole reason for it. I get it. They're probably not working 40-hour work weeks, and I'm sure they all look forward to going on their recess, but it's not technically a vacation, and they probably are going to be working because they're going to be doing their campaigning. At least they should be. So the question is, do you think they will go on vacation on October 3rd without something being passed? I think, and this is Andrew asking this, I think that it's going to be very, very hard for some of these politicians to go home with nothing. And I think they realize that. And so, and I'm talking about both Democrats and Republicans, as well as the president. It's going to be tough for them to campaign and not have something get done. So that being the case, I think it's going to be one of those situations where they're really going to start pressuring, like in the House, they're going to be pressuring the leadership. Okay, they're going to be pressuring Nancy Pelosi. Hey, look, we need to get something, and so get us something. We're willing to forego recess in order to get something done. So I would anticipate that they are going to stay past unless they get to a point where it's just completely deadlocked and they know nothing is going to happen. Then maybe they'll go. Or the House will vote on something, approve it, send it over to the Senate, and then go on recess because they've done their part. They've sent something over to the Senate. Now it's up to the Senate. And if that's the situation, they could go on. Like, let's say they get something done before October 2nd, and then they approve it. They send it over to the Senate. There's nothing left for them to do. So they'll go on recess while the Senate tries to figure out what they're going to do with whatever the proposal is. So I think that's what we'll be looking at. If you're asking, could they leave on October 3rd? That's the only real possibility that I can see. Other than that, I can't see them just leaving without doing anything. All right. Okay, so Daniel's asking, let's see, I applied for an absentee ballot and have not heard anything about it. When should I expect? Okay, so first off, I don't know what state you live in, but I would contact, you can contact the Secretary of State, you can contact your local recorder or registrars and find out more information about it if you've asked for the absentee. But each state is going to be different. Okay, so I can't, questions like that, I'm not going to know the answer to. You're going to need to contact wherever you live. Just call them and let them know what your whole situation is. Tony's asking, will Trump do an executive order? So we don't know. we don't know what Trump is very unpredictable. We don't know what he's going to do, right? I would much rather see a stimulus package. I think we all would, because we know that executive order can only go so far, and it's still going to have to go through Congress anyway, because if you're sending out more money, it has to come from Congress. It can't just come from the president. And he's talking about this money that he has set aside, right? He still needs to get approval from Congress in order to spend that money. He can't just spend it wherever he wants to spend it. Now, he could do an executive order, tell the Treasury you need to send this money out, but that's going to get pushback from Congress, and it might get pushback from the Supreme Court because he legally cannot do that. That's not his. He doesn't have the power to do that. And trust me, if Trump had the power to do that, he would have done it already. And some people might say, "Oh, he's just waiting for closer to the election," just like the gentleman was saying earlier about absentee ballots. Absentee ballots are going out right now. So if you're going to wait until right before the election, that's not going to help, because what you're going to do is all these people voting absentee, they're going to be voting a certain way. They might not vote for you because of the stimulus check. So it's better to get it out sooner than wait until the last minute. And then another thing, when it comes to the doing an executive order, we know it's going to take time. We're looking at the enhanced unemployment right now, the executive order that he signed back in August. Some people still have not received their money yet, and it's over a month. So if he were to do an executive order now, some people might not receive their stimulus check until right before the election or after the election. So yeah, we'll I would think if he really, that theory that he's talking about, if that theory were really true, he probably would have done it already. Mary's asking about the wildfire in California. I would imagine. Yeah, it's still spreading. It's still spreading. I live in Southern California. There are a couple of wildfires around this, not around right around where I'm living, but most of the fires are up north. So in this proposal, Jonathan's asking about the $10,000, the SBA EIDL. It looks like that grant is in. There's funding for that grant, so that could mean that another round of EIDL money, where if you have a business or if you're a gig worker, you could get like $1,000 per employee. Now, these are all, this is a proposal, right? So it hasn't been approved or anything like that. So some people have already asked me, so when are we going to get this? When are we getting the stimulus check? And look, it has to go through this process, okay? It has to go through the House, it has to go through the Senate, and it has to be signed off by the president. Okay. And Greg's asking about how fast this package will get deployed after making the deal. So the Treasury, it depends on like what you're talking about as far as the package, because certain things would be rolled out at different times, but you're probably referring to the stimulus checks. Steven Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, said that he can get it out like as fast as possible. Like we're talking within 2 weeks, but he might even be able to get it out sooner than that. They already have all our information. They're not changing anything really. I mean, actually, the new proposal it's the same as the CARES Act, so they wouldn't have to change anything except for the dependents, the age. So that's the only thing that would change. So there's no age limit when it comes to dependents. It's still $500, and so they could probably get it out very, very fast. And they're also looking at the dependents who have not received, or the people who haven't received the $500 per dependent. Like there's some people, non-filers, who didn't get that $500. They claimed a dependent. Some people were starting to get, I think like 50,000. They were sending out those stimulus checks to those people, but not everyone has received that money yet because some people didn't file in that window period that they gave a few months back. So those people might get a $500 check plus an additional $500 check for this new proposal here. So they're looking, they could potentially get $1,000. Okay. All right. You know, I actually like at the text show better when you guys type that in, because it does show it's bright orange. So if you really, really want me to see your question, put at the tech show or at the TEC show. Daniel saying thank you for your updates. Thank you very much, Daniel. Appreciate your support, brother. Richard saying that he went to the post office, got a mail-in ballot. That's cool. And so Christine says, wasn't this proposal drawn up by the representatives in the House? Why not put it to a vote in the House and then send it to the Senate? That's the whole plan. That's what they're going to do. Or I shouldn't say that's what they're going to do. That is the plan. Now, Nancy Pelosi has to call it to the floor. So I'm sure there's going to be some negotiating going on, and then they'll see if it's something that she wants to bring to the floor. I think you bring this to the floor, it's going to get a yes. I mean, it's going to be approved, and then it will go over to the Senate. But that is ultimately, that's the plan. That's the reason that they introduced it in the House. The Senate is pretty much deadlocked. They're not going to go anywhere with anything. The Senate doesn't have enough support from. So you have the majority leader, Mitch McConnell, right? He does not have enough support to get anything through. And their last ditch effort was the skinny bill, that $300 billion bill. That was their last ditch effort. They were able to get 52 Republican senators to vote yes, but they really needed 60 in order to avoid a debate, in order to avoid the filibuster. And so because they couldn't get that, they don't have the support alone. They need Democrats in the Senate. And so that's why the House is now going to take this up and let's see if we can get something done. And if we get something done and it has support from both Republicans and Democrats, and we send it over to the Senate, maybe we can get bipartisan support and get it passed in the Senate. The Senate is the holdup right now. If we had a Senate that was, I mean, even if the skinny bill had enough support from some Democrats and they voted for it, then it would have been approved. If they got that 60 votes, it would have been approved, and then it would have gone to the House. But we can't get anything through the Senate right now, so they need to work something out, something that the senators will approve of. So Corey's asking, I know you, wait, let's see. I know you won't give a timeline, but when would you, so he's asking, when would I think it would at least get voted on? He or she, I'm not sure. So the easy answer is I don't know. But I would think this week, since it was, proposed this week, we're going to hear more about it. Okay, and we'll know if it's a go or no, right? And I'm thinking this proposal has so much that's good. I can't see them. I mean, I could see them making some changes and then maybe voting on it, but this is a hard one, I think, to pass up on or to pass on. And I think it's really going to make Nancy Pelosi and Democratic leadership look bad if they can't come together when it comes to this. Because this is, now I can understand the skinny bill not going through and you're not having any Democrats supporting that. But this is one of those bills where, yeah, you should be able to support this. It looks like it has things that everybody's been asking for. Wayne is asking who pushed the proposal out today. So when you're saying pushed it out, like who unveiled it? It's the Problem Solvers Caucus is the ones that have unveiled it. All right, guys, we're going to do a couple more questions, and we'll be on about 5 more minutes, and we're going to take off. Also, guys, if you can do me a favor, we have about 1,300 people in the room. If you guys can hit the like button, I'd really appreciate that. Let's see if we can get over 1,000 likes. Usually when I hit 1,000 likes, the video does really well, so really well after the fact. So if you guys can do that for me, I appreciate it. And guys asking about Trump saying rake your forest. You know what's funny, and I was watching the exchange when it came to that, and so in California, President Trump said this. This is not the first time that he said this, but you have to clean the forest. You have to rake the forest, and then you don't have these forest fires. And so there's a big debate going on. Is it global warming? What's going on? We have fires, hurricanes. I mean, things are just they're pretty crazy right now. And so it was interesting. There was an exchange where the governor, Gavin Newsom, was talking to the president, and the president was saying, yeah, you guys need to keep the forest clean. And then the governor reminded President Trump that 57% of the land in California, and a lot of these wildfires are in this land, are federally owned. And so they're federally run, which means the federal government needs to keep that, keep those forests clean. So that was pretty interesting when he said that. President Trump didn't really have a response. It's like, oh, okay. But like you're saying, okay, yeah, you need to keep it clean. You need to keep the area clean. If you keep it clean, then we're not going to have these fires like we're having. But if it's federal land, the federal government is the one that's in charge of those areas. So they should be, in essence, keeping it clean, which that's crazy. 57%. That's a lot. I didn't realize we had that much federal land in California. Okay. So about 5 more minutes, guys. And let's get up to 1,000 likes. We got about 830. Wow, we just got 100 likes in like a minute. That's crazy. Thank you guys very much for your support. All right, let's go ahead and push on here. Child support. So, Mr. Quarterback, we don't know. We won't know the details of that. As far as this proposal, we wouldn't know the details until the bill was there. This is a proposal, and I'll look more into it. I don't know what it has in there when it comes to child support. If you owe back child support. Now, if you owe back child support, you're probably not going to qualify, but we don't know for sure. All right. All right, guys, any other questions? And Wayne, I think I answered that question already. As far as do I think it will pass? I think I'm going to put it this way. I'm hoping it passes. I think it's a really good, solid proposal. So I'm hoping it will pass. But we'll have to see what Nancy Pelosi does with it. The reality is, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure from some of the Democrats, which we've already seen some pressure from some of these moderate Democrats. They're like, look, you got to help us out. And so I think that because of that, and because this does look good, like we're talking, and it has stabilizers in there. So if the economy is getting better, then you don't need to spend as much money. If the economy is not doing better and the pandemic is still around, then you can go up to $2 trillion. So it has all the right things in there. So I think she really needs to get pushed by some of these moderate Democrats to tell her, hey, look, we need this. You got to help us out. And maybe she will call it to the floor and have them vote. Nicole's asking, do you think people on SSI will get the second check? Yes. If it's the same as the HEALS Act, the HEROES Act, then yes. And I can't see it being different. The way it looks, it's going to be the same as what's in the CARES Act, which SSI would qualify. Well, Darlene's just saying, why are the moderators saying that it was rejected? Technically, it wasn't voted on, but it was rejected in the sense that they don't want to go any further with what it is in its current state. Okay, so they're just saying it doesn't go far enough, and they can still talk about it. I can reject something if I'm buying a car, and that dealer says $20,000. I can reject that offer, right? That doesn't mean that I don't want the car, and that doesn't mean that we can't still negotiate. That just means I rejected that offer. And so that's where we are right now. And like I said, the way I work, whatever you come out with, I'm automatically saying no. And I like to haggle when it comes to stuff like this. So if you come out with something, I'm going to say no, and then I'm going to try to work out even a better deal, because I know if you start with that, you're willing to give me more. That's just the way that I feel. If it's a negotiation. All right. Okay, guys, 2 more minutes. We'll be on 2 more minutes. Let's see if we can get up to 1,000 likes. Can we get 100 likes in 2 minutes? Let's see. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. All right, so we'll be on 2 more minutes. Any last questions? If I missed your question, I apologize. You can ask me in the Discord. You can send me an email, or you could ask me the question right now. Okay, Andrea, I already asked that or answered that question about executive order. So just if right after we're done here, because we're going to be done in like 2 minutes, you can go back. It's about it's about 10 minutes ago, and you'll see the answer to that question. And Andrea, just understand, you're not putting at TEC, or you're not putting at the tech show, or you're not putting at the tech show. The only reason that I saw your question is because I happened to glance at it. Okay, so if you're not putting that, then I'm not going to answer your question, because I'm skimming through and I'm looking for at TEC, or I'm looking for at the tech show. Okay, so. And like I said, I think the question that you had was the one that I answered about 10 minutes ago. No worries, no worries. Everybody wants to know what camera I'm using. The A7R3 Sony. Thank you for clicking likewise, guys. Thank you for the hearts, Andrea. All right. Oh, we're almost there. 1,000 likes, 1,000 likes. All right, we're going to be on until we hit 1,000 likes. So we got about 5 more minutes. We're going to do an extended. And another thing that I'm thinking about doing, for the members, do my regular live stream on Saturday, Sunday, and on one of those days, how am I talking? On one of those days, do an after show. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. So do the regular live stream, and then after the live stream, then do an after show, but it'll be for the members only. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about doing the live stream. Maybe do one to see how it works, and then if it's good, then continue doing it. So do it like it'll be like 30 minutes after, or not 30 minutes after. It'll be for like 30 minutes after the regular live stream. It's very informal. We'll just be talking about whatever. So that's what I'm considering doing. So if you guys are a member and you're interested in that, let me know what you guys think about that. But we are at least going to do it this week coming up. We're going to do it for sure. Okay. So it'll be on either Saturday or Sunday. Haven't decided yet. Okay, let's see. And Roman, yes, I do think we'll get a stimulus check. We don't know, Kamika, we don't know when we'll see the stimulus check, but I do think it will be coming. All right, guys. We are getting ready to call it. Let's see. Ashley has a good question here. Can it be passed without the leader's approval? The answer is no. She has to be the one to call it to the floor. As long as they have enough Democrats and Republicans voting yes. No, so she has to be the one that brings it to the floor. So both her and Mitch McConnell, that's by their leaders, and they have the opportunity to do that. So, or they have the power to do that. And so that's why they're the leaders. They can call things to the floor. Just like Mitch McConnell, he called the skinny bill to the floor, and Nancy Pelosi, she can call whatever she wants to the floor. So even if they have support, if you have enough people to support a certain bill, it doesn't mean anything if she doesn't call it to the floor. Now, she's a leader only because the majority of the Democrats voted her in as leader. So she does have an obligation to listen to the Democrats in the House. And if she doesn't, then guess what? She can get voted out. So she does have to listen to them. She can't just, she should listen to them, I should say, because if she doesn't, then they can vote her out next round. All right. I missed the super chat. Sorry about that. Alvin, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Let's see. As always, appreciate the great info, dedication, and diligence and work. Thanks, David. Thank you very much, Alvin. I appreciate that. Did I miss another one? Oh, I did. Miss Wagner, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And if you guys have super chats, put a comment, put a question. It's a good way for you to ask a question as well. Sonia, if you haven't gotten your first stimulus check, you definitely need to call the IRS to find out what's going on. All right. Norman's asking, does it include Social Security? So if you're asking about stimulus checks, it's going to be the same as the CARES Act. So if you received a stimulus check in the CARES Act, then you would qualify for this one. Let's see. Luis, you said that you sent a super chat? I didn't see anything come through. Sometimes for whatever reason I don't see the super chats, but if you did, thank you for the super chat. Sometimes they don't come through. David, thank you for the super chat. He says, David, I love the show. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. All right. Jerica's asking or making a statement, or I guess she's asking a question. What is the worst case scenario if they can't get anything passed before the election? The worst case scenario is nothing will get done. After the election, nothing will be done anyway. So they need to get something done before the election, or we're not going to see anything until maybe after January, and that would be, or maybe after January 20th. But that would be if the president, if we have President Biden coming in. So if Vice President Biden is elected, then we might see something. If it's the same administration, I can't see anything going through. I really can't, unless the Senate is taken over by the Democrats and they continue to control the House. So they'll control the House and the Senate. Then they can push something through, but it will still have to be signed off by the president. But if we have the same administration in there and we still have the same leadership in the Senate, they're probably not going to move forward with it, because if they didn't do it now, why would they do it after the election? And it's sad to say, right? I mean, the election is basically what's pushing people to want to work for the American people, which is, I mean, like I said, it's our government right now is not functioning the way that it should. I mean, it is not there to help the people. It really isn't. And the only reason there's even a consideration at this point is because there's an election. And that's sad. That's really sad, because you elect people to represent you, and then you realize in a crisis that they're not representing you. And the only reason they're representing you now is because they are in fear of not being reelected. It's sad. All right. Yeah, we reached 1,000. Thank you guys all for your support. I really, really appreciate that. Let's see. This election is already over. All right. We're going to stay another 5 minutes and then we'll go. So at 1 hour and 11 minutes, we'll be out of here. Okay. Anything else? I don't know if President Trump, and this is Valerie saying that President Trump is for the bill, Dim's holding it up. I don't think President Trump has said anything about this bill. So I don't know how he feels about it. I know that the White House, I believe it was Mark Meadows, said that it deserves some consideration. This bill deserves some consideration. But that wasn't coming from Trump. All right. All right. So Deborah said, when can you answer what was your question? I don't know what your question was. And Greg is talking about getting out to vote. Yes, it's very important for you to get out to vote. I don't understand why people are saying, I'm just not going to vote. I'm not going to vote. You can vote. Even if you don't want to vote for the candidates that are on the ballot, you can write in a candidate. You can vote for a third-party candidate. But go out there and vote and hold these politicians accountable. Incumbents, they benefit off you not voting. So if you don't go to the polls, then guess what? You're saying, I'm okay with the status quo. I'm okay with the people who are in office. So low voter turnout, that benefits the incumbent. And when I say the incumbent, I mean the people who are running for re-election. So all the people running for re-election right now, they all benefit if you don't turn out. Okay, that's probably part of the reason why President Trump is talking about, not allowing people to vote by mail and all this stuff, because he understands that a low voter turnout will benefit him. Because you have to understand, if it's a high voter turnout, that means that people are going to the polls because they're voting against what's already there, right, against the current administration. And so if people are happy with the way things are going, some people are like, you know what, I'm happy with the way things are going. I'm not going to go to the polls. But if people are energized to go vote, then that means that they, in a lot of situations, that means they want change. And that's why they're going to the polls. So it's very important to go vote, especially if you're in a situation right now where you're looking at the government and saying, what is going on? These people are not representing me. You need to go vote. And I'm not saying vote for them. I'm saying vote for someone else, but go to the polls and let your voice be heard. All right. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and take off. I appreciate all of you guys being here and supporting the channel. And I'll be putting out a video tomorrow. So the rest of the week, I'll be putting out videos. I was trying to do early morning, but I think I'm going to do kind of like I did today, the lunch break, the lunch break update is what I called it earlier today. So I think I'm going to start doing it more around 12 noon Pacific Coast time. And then we'll be doing the live streams on Saturday and Sunday. All right, guys. So thank you guys all for being here. Talk to you guys later. Bye.